And today's video is in regard to Codex Alimentarius and Rima Laibow and her husband, Major General Albert Stubblebine. Now, I'm sure many of you remember that in 2009, he suddenly appeared on the scene and exposed the evil Codex Alimentarius with its diabolical plan to lead the world into starvation by a covert tampering with food and removal of all over-the-counter vitamins and minerals. Now this, according to Rima Laibow, this was going to occur in December of 2009. Well, as you know, it did not happen. The evil agenda was to starve the population by stripping essential nutrients from food. Now, in my research, I found an article where it was suggested, and I quote, that her podium-like style speech with the internet community was actually staged, despite her insurance, and I quote, nothing, absolutely nothing that she said was going to be exaggerated, and that she would be able to document her findings.
Let me tell you about Codex Alimentarius. Let me define it for you. Let me help you understand the enemy. And let me assure you that absolutely nothing that I'm going to tell you is exaggerated, is interpolated, or is imagined. Everything I'm going to tell you is documented.
Now, my research suggests that she may have indeed exaggerated and that her information was, in fact, not documented. Now, allow me to read to you some of an article I found by a gentleman named Alexander Wren, who has a blog called The Angry Scientist. Now, after hearing about her claims, he did some checking on her, and I quote, I heard Dr. Rima Laibow say Codex will require all cows to inject RBST and all food to be radiated. Did I hear that correctly? Could I get a source for some of these statements? I went poking around the Codex site but couldn't find anything like that. Is it hiding, or did I just not know where to look? Now, RBST is recombinant bovine somatotropin. It's a hormone used in cows to increase milk production. So let's get back to his article. This is an example of why the alternative health movement isn't taken seriously. This woman and her lawyer go around making eye-popping statements about what the nefarious Codex is up to, but when asked to back them up, she is not able to. Now, the man in this article goes on to say that he doesn't doubt that Codex is a threat to health freedom. She may indeed be an expert on Codex, but such easily disproven statements make her sound like she's gone off the deep end. What's the point of making claims that she must know are exaggerated after making a big point of saying, and I quote, everything I'm going to tell you is documented? So, question, why all the fear-mongering by Laibow? And why lie about it if she is indeed lying? Is money the motive here? Well, I personally think there's more to it than that. Let's take a look at the next clip.
So please come back here, wander, and purchase.
Working to protect your health freedoms here and around the world.
The Natural Solutions Foundation team provides a unique service, bringing grassroots and decision makers together via the internet and on the ground.
Please help us to continue this vital work on your behalf with your generous year-end contribution. And here's how to do it.
So what is the truth of this matter? Is Rima Laibow and General Stubblebine fear-mongering? Well, I did some digging and it revealed some very interesting fact. General Stubblebine is associated with two men whose names are Colonel John Alexander and Colonel Michael Aquino. Now, these three men co-formed a company called SciTech that teaches remote viewing. And we're going to talk about Colonel Alexander in a moment, but first I want to shed a little bit of light on Lieutenant Colonel Michael A. Aquino. Michael Aquino is the high priest of the Temple of Set, which is the world's most prolific satanic institution. Aquino is a former disciple of, guess who? Anton LaVey. All right? Anton LaVey being founder of the Church of Satan. Aquino was, according to my research, a high-ranking member of the NSA, the National Security Agency. Now, stories of ritual abuse of children and murder have been circulating about this guy, Michael Aquino, for years, okay? Now, again, this guy, Michael Aquino, along with John Alexander and General Albert Stubblebine, formed the company called SciTech that teaches remote viewing. Oh, and Aquino was also on the Oprah show. And as you're also going to see in a bit, so was Rima Laibow. Wait till you see this guy. Check this clip out.
Talking to Dr. Aquino and his wife, you are a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army.
Correct.
Now, and how does the Army feel about you being head of the Temple of Set?
The Army has known about my religion for the entire span of my Army career.
Intelligence agencies have infiltrated and created some satanic groups, with the resurgence of these groups beginning in 1966, particularly with the birth of the Church of Satan, founded by Anton LaVey. LaVey studied criminology in San Francisco and worked in the San Francisco Police Department Crime Lab. He also worked as an informant for Interpol. Prior to the Church of Satan, LaVey ran a group called the Magic Circle. LaVey's most famous associate is the National Security Agency General Michael Aquino. At the time of his membership in LaVey's group, Aquino was an Army specialist in intelligence and psychological warfare. In 1973, he became the executive officer of the 306th Psychological Operations Battalion, contemporary with his founding of the Church of Set. General Michael Aquino wrote, "From PSYOP to Mind War, the Psychology of Victory." Aquino's thesis stated that enemy populations could be subdued by inflicting a state of psychological terror and feelings of imminent destruction.
Okay, I want to give you some background on SciTech. I went to their site. SciTech is in Los Angeles, California. It was founded in 1989. President of this company's name is Ed Daines. Okay, and board members include John B. Alexander and General Albert Stubblebine. Now, according to their website, SciTech has received several government contracts. For example, during the Gulf War crisis, the Department for Defense asked it to use remote viewing to locate Saddam's Scud missile sites. In 1991, during the Gulf War, PSI Tech provided intelligence on Saddam Hussein to the National Security Council and located Iraq's hidden biological warfare stockpiles for the United Nations. I guess they found their weapons of mass destruction. SciTech also offers training courses for professionals. The SciTech training course takes 9 days and costs, are you ready for this, $4,500. Now, last but not least, I want to read you SciTech's mission statement. You're not going to believe this, friends. SciTech's mission is to evolve human consciousness. Now, there's a big surprise. Through the development and training of mind technologies. We assert that all people are born with natural psychic or sixth sense abilities. However, in most, it lies dormant. By training our cutting-edge technical remote viewing skills, this innate PSI ability, or PSI muscle, as we like to call it, becomes activated. Awakening this dormant capability in the human race is PSI Tech's goal. Can you believe this? Once human beings have installed this learned skill, not only will it expand the individual's potential, but when enough people become activated, it will shift consciousness on a global scale. Okay? This is the husband of Rima Laibow, alright? That sits on the board that helped form this company. But wait, it gets worse. One thing that you need to understand, this idea, in case you're not familiar with my videos, of expanding global consciousness via the use of altered states of consciousness is the common theme found in all New Age and satanic beliefs and practices, to include all of them, whether it's yoga, hypnosis, meditation, remote viewing, channeling, martial arts, Kabbalah, and I could go on and on and on. These practices, friends, are spiritual poison. They not only open one up to psychic experiences, they open one up to the possibility of possession. Now, again, one of Stubblebine's closest officers, and they're still friends, I'm going to show you a picture of them in a moment, is John Alexander, Colonel John or Major General Alexander, married to an alien researcher named Victoria Lakis, okay, now Alexander. Victoria Alexander lives in Los Angeles with her husband, John, and according to my research, is an advocate, get this, for the visionary plant called, I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly, ayahuasca. So I had never heard of this plant, so I decided to do some checking on it. And what I found was, and I quote, "The nature of the ayahuasca sets it apart from almost all other hallucinogens. The content and quality of these visions that you could get utilizing this plant point towards a completely overwhelming occult scenario for the user. Users also seem to see the experience as real and not as a hallucination in the usual sense of the word, and the portal to the other worlds which exist alongside of our own." From there, I found another site with a woman talking about her experience with this plant, and I quote, "The ayahuasca brew that I drank for healing, I prayed to the spirit of the plants and to the goddess to restore my visions and dreams. I also prayed to Lord Shiva." So this plant is used in ceremonies to bring about altered state and satanic visions and the like. Now, getting back to Victoria Alexander, who is the wife, like I said, of John Alexander, and who Victoria and John are very good friends with Rima Laibow and General Stubblebein. And I found her on the social network called meetup.com, and I'll show you her page. She's been a member of this group since February 5th, 2010, and she, get this, looking for others who want to join an ayahuasca retreat. Oh, unbelievable.